everybody, welcome to Storytime with Fairfield County Library. My name is Miss Nina and I am so excited to do Storytime today. Are you guys ready? Awesome. All right. This week our theme is Arctic and Antarctic animals. So animals from the North and South Poles. That means this week we're going to be reading stories that are all about penguins and polar bears. All right, our first book is The Emperor's Egg by Martin Jenkins, illustrated by Jane Chapman and published by Candlewick Press. Down at the very bottom of the world, there's a huge island that's almost completely covered in snow and ice. It's called Antarctica, and it's the coldest, windiest place on Earth. The weather's bad enough there in summer, but in winter it's really terrible. It's hard to imagine anything actually living there. But wait, what's that shape over there? It can't be. Yes! His mate did it a few weeks ago, but very soon afterward, she turned around and waddled off to the sea. That's where female emperor penguins spend most of the winter, swimming about, getting as fat as they can, eating as much as they can, and generally having a very nice time, as far as you can tell. And here's got a little fact that says, emperor penguins eat mainly fish, squid, and tiny shrimp-like animals called krill. Which leaves the father penguin stuck on the ice with his egg. Now, the most important thing about egg sitting is to stop your egg from getting cold. That means it has to be kept off the ice and out of the wind. And what better way to do that than rest it on your feet and tuck it right up under your tummy, which is just what the father penguin does. You see, we got a little fact right there. Inside the egg, a penguin chick is starting to grow. If the egg gets cold, the chick will die. And that's how he'll stay for 2 whole months until his egg is ready to hatch. Can you imagine it? Standing around in the freezing cold with an egg on your feet for 2 whole months. And there's got a little fact right there. Female emperor penguins lay 1 egg in May or June, which is the beginning of winter in Antarctica. What's more, there's nothing for the father penguin to eat on land. And because he's egg sitting, he can't go off to the sea to feed. So that means 2 whole months with an egg on your feet and no dinner, or breakfast, or lunch, or snacks. I don't know about you, but I'd be very, very miserable. Luckily, the penguins don't seem to mind too much. They have thick feathers and lots of fat under their skin to help keep them warm. And when it gets really cold and windy, they all snuggle up together and shuffle over the ice in a great big huddle. Most of the time, the huddle trundles along very, very slowly. But sometimes, when the penguins get into a particularly slippery slope, they slide down it on their tummies, pushing themselves along with their flippers, always remembering to take care of their egg and trying hard not to bump into each other. And that's how the father penguin spends the winter, until one day he hears a chip, chip, chip. And we've got a fun fact up here. It says even though the males keep the egg tucked up tight under their tummies when they slide, it sometimes rolls out and breaks. His egg is starting to hatch. It takes a day or so. Finally, the egg cracks right open, and out pops a penguin chick. Now the father penguin has two jobs to do. He has to keep the chick warm and has to feed it. Here's a fun fact. The chick is only about 6 inches tall at first and much too small to keep warm by itself. But on what? The chick is too small to be taken off to the sea to catch food, and it can be left behind on the ice. Well, deep down in the father penguin's throat, there's a pouch where he makes something a little like milk, and that's what he feeds to his hungry chick. The father penguin can only make enough of the milky stuff to feed his chick for a couple of weeks, but just as he's about to run out, a dot appears on the horizon. It gets closer and closer, and yes! It's Mom! She starts trumpeting, hello! And the father penguin starts trumpeting, hello! And the chick whistles. The racket goes on for hours, and it really does sound as if they're extremely pleased to see each other. Fun fact! Every adult penguin has its own special call, like a fingerprint. Chicks have their own special whistle, too. As soon as things have calmed down, the mother penguin is sick, right into her chick's mouth. Yuck, you may think. Yum, thinks the chick, and gobbles it all down. It's the mother's turn to take care of the chick now, while the father sets off to the sea for a well-earned meal of his own. About time, too. All right, that was The Emperor's Egg. Aren't penguins cool? All right, our next book is The Polar Bear's Son, an Inuit Tale, retold and illustrated by Lydia Dabcovich and published by Clarion Books. Way up north, all alone in a little hut at the edge of an Inuit village, there lived an old woman. She had no family, no strong sons to hunt for her. The old woman tried to fend for herself by fishing and gathering seeds and berries, but often she was unsuccessful and had to depend on her neighbors for food. One day, out on the ice, the old woman found a little white polar bear cub. His mother must have been killed, the old woman thought. So she took him home. Back in her hut, the old woman fed the cub, sharing with him the little food she had. I will call you Kunikjuak, she said. Kunikjuak, my son. Kunikjuak was happy with the old woman. He was a friendly, round, and fluffy little bear, and the children of the village loved to play with him, tumbling about and sliding on the snow. Spring, summer, and long dark winter passed. Kunikjuak grew quickly. When spring came again, he was big and strong enough to go hunting and fishing for the old woman. Soon the old woman had plenty of meat and fish to eat, furs to keep her warm, and blubber for cooking. And, as is the custom of the Inuit, she shared every good catch with the bear and the whole village. Come, called the old woman proudly, there's more than enough for all of us. The villagers took the food, but in time, the hunters grew angry because Kunukjuak was much better at hunting than they were, and they were jealous that the old woman had found such a good provider. They decided to kill Kunukjuak, but the children overheard the hunters' plan and ran to warn the old woman. The old woman went from house to house, pleading with the villagers to spare her clever young bear. "Kunukjuak is my son," she said. "Do not take him away from me." "This bear is getting too big and strong. He is dangerous," they said. "We will kill him tomorrow. He will make a fine feast for the village, and his fur will keep us warm." The old woman rushed back home. She told Kunukjuak that he had to leave at once. "Go," she said. "Go quickly and do not come back." Crying bitterly, she begged him not to forget her. So Kunukjuak left. Sadly, the old woman and the children watched him disappear into the distance. Now the old woman was alone again. From time to time, when she felt very lonely and hungry, she left her hut early in the morning and went very far out on the ice. Then she called, "Kunukjuak, Kunukjuak, my son!" She did not have to wait long before a big polar bear came running to meet her. It was Kunukjuak, big and strong and sleek and glossy. The old woman always looked him over carefully, making sure that he had not been injured. Then Kunukjuak brought her salmon and seal. They ate some of it together, and the old woman took the rest home with her. This went on for many years, and up to this day, the Inuit tell the story of the faithful bear Kunukjuak and the old woman who brought him up. All right, that was The Polar Bear's Son. I hope you guys liked it. All right, everyone, thank you for coming to Storytime. Now, just because we're done reading does not mean we have to be done with Storytime. If you come to the library this week, you can pick up a Storytime kit, which are these fun-filled activity kits that we made to go with the books we read today. Each kit comes with a coloring sheet, a craft, and a tasty recipe that you can make with your grown-ups. This week, our recipe is banana penguins, and our craft is this, polar bear ears. Aren't they cool? To get a kit, you need to come to the Fairfield County Library and look for some crates in the children's section. Now, we have 2 crates, one for Monday story times and one for Wednesdays. So you want to make sure that you grab the right kits, or you could end up with something completely different. The kits for this story time are in the group B crate. They're the blue ones. New kits come out every week whenever there's a new story time. And if you want to try a kit from last week, it never hurts to ask one of the librarians. Maybe ask for me, Miss Nina. Okay, everyone, thank you for joining me for story time. Once again, my name is Miss Nina, and I hope to see you in the library this week to pick up a story time kit. It's time to say goodbye, but I look forward to seeing you all next time. Bye!